My name is Adam Letson. This is my History of Art Assignment 2, Task 2, submitted on Monday the 12th January 2015. During my interactive design course, I have learnt about the different art movements throughout the century. I will take time to give brief detail on each movement by going through the steps of art movement. Step 1. Impressionism and Post-Impressionism. Art movements that focus on composition, style and techniques, and subject matter. Step 2. Art Deco and Art Nouveau. Art Nouveau artists took inspiration from what they saw around them in the natural world. Art Deco was a movement whose characteristics fitted modern structures. For example, the Golden Gate Bridge, theatre interiors, and ocean liners. Favorism. A short-lived group of artists whose work focused on artistic qualities and strong colour. Step 4. German Expressionism. Painted pieces of someone showing emotion, such as happiness or sadness. Step 5. Cubism. Views the object from one angle and then visuals the object from multiple viewpoints, in order for the art piece they create to make a unique tone. Step 6. Futurism. Artists of the movement describe their work as capturing forced lines of an object. Step 7. Dada. Consisted of a collage of cutouts on various objects and pasted on paper. Step 8. Bauhaus and De Gil. De Gil's characteristics consisted of removing decorated surfaces from colours. Bauhaus was seen as a movement that was ideal for housing developments and high-quality consumer goods. Step 9. Surrealism. The movement based on dreams, the mind, and the different levels of reality. Step 10. Pop art and op art. Pop art took a comic book style of art, while op art focused on optical illusion. Step 11. Brit art and hyperism. Brit art is a movement known for using throwaway materials and was usually grotesque. Hyperrealism is praised for its methods of photorealism to create paintings or sculptures that are so lifelike seen by the human eye. For this assignment, I will focus on the movement Surrealism. Surrealism is an art movement that began in the early 1920s. This art movement took a unique form with a different approach towards art and writing altogether. It was based on dreams, the mind, and the different levels of reality. The movement originally began in Paris 1924 when poet and critic André Breton brought the introduction of his book, The Manifesto of Surrealism, to the public. From that point on, Surrealism became a worldwide movement. The name of the movement comes from the word surreal. This word has a lot of meanings. Some of these meanings include bizarre, illogical, strange, and exciting. These keywords are some of the various definitions that are used to describe the majority of the surrealistic art pieces. Like the majority of other art movements before it, Surrealism was also a reaction to the Second World War. This was one of its known characteristics. As the style was based on one's dreams, the artist would combine this art with other techniques, such as illogical scales and the opposite of natural laws. There are two types of surrealism that are used in both the classical and the modern day art pieces. They are double image and juxtaposition. In surrealism, the term double image is used when an art piece displays more than one thing. In other words, surrealist artists would create a piece that would have more than one view. This example can be seen in the classical piece created by Salvador Dali. It is one of the well-known surrealist art pieces that uses the double image technique. As seen in the image, the primary focus is the two stone statues. The statues both have a similar layout, but they each create their own unique visual. The statue on the right takes a form of a hand holding an egg, whilst the one on the left creates a visual of a person sitting down in the lake. This is an example of modern day use of the double image technique, London Typical Double-Decker Bus, painted by Luigi Carlo 2010. As the piece displays a classical double-decker bus, it shows on the side banner a display of the iconic buildings of London. As some would just see it as an advertisement poster on the bus, it can be used as a double image technique. Like the image of London is the actual landmarks itself, as part of the bus is see-through. The second type of surrealism used in art pieces of the movement is known as juxtaposition. The overall answer to this technique is that in some art pieces, the art would combine two or more objects, either unlikely or unrelated to each other, and would be placed next to each other to create an exciting visual. In classical art, this can be seen in the piece created by René Magritte, Time Transfixed, and uses a good example of juxtaposition. It does create an ideal message that trains passes in and out through tunnels every day. René used the idea of a fireplace as the background of this piece, as fireplaces do take the shape of tunnels, and that both it and old steam trains have a thing in common. Both generate smoke or steam when a fire burns. In modern day juxtaposition surrealism artwork, this piece caught my attention, posted on the Facebook page of the group Art Group Gallery. This piece, Dreamlike Split Level Landscapes, created by Jeremy Miranda, shows an example of juxtaposition surrealism. This piece combines two different images together. The bottom image shows a view of trees in the sunset beside a mountain, while the top image displays a visual of waves crashing on a cliffside on a dark day. The artist creates a unique connection between the two by creating a message that a land of peace and calmness lives under the ocean on a dark day. Another visual that they use to connect the two is making the rock bed of the seaside as the top of the mountain in the bottom image. The artist adds a ladder in the piece to create the message that the two worlds share a connection to each other. These are the names of the two artists who were famous for their surrealist artwork: Salvador Dali and René Magritte. Salvador Dali was famous in the world of surrealism art by focusing his pieces on his visions of the images he would see in his dream subconscious. However, most of his artwork is considered to be odd, as the influence in his art takes the images displayed in his dreams. Some of the pieces he made consisted of various themes which he feared, such as death and decay. Here in this piece, Sleep, it creates a message to me that when we sleep, our dreams can create different visuals from our memories. As we normally sleep in beds, it is possible that Salvador wanted to create a dreamlike visual of how our minds creates an image to show what sleeping feels like. From this, his visual was a slumping face being supported by beams. René Magritte is another one of the classical surrealist artists. From looking at his art piece, my opinion suggests that he focused his surreal artwork on the day-to-day objects and locations of reality. However, he made these pieces surreal by taking the objects and changing them from their actual proportions of size and logic from the reality itself. The Listening Room is one of René's surreal art pieces that demonstrates a good example of how he alters the proportion of an object's size in his art piece. This can be seen in the piece as it shows a giant apple sitting in a small room. Another point of interest to mention about this piece is that it gives a good demonstration of the impossible scale characteristic of surrealism work. Surrealism has had an impact on modern day life in general, whether it be from films to even interior design. During a trip to Glasgow, I stayed in a hotel that goes by the name Citizen M. Here they had different examples of surrealism in their interior designs, from their seating arrangements to their hallway art. I do enjoy the surrealism art movement. I have referred to it in most of my artwork during high school and throughout my interactive design course so far. This image is of an album cover I was to design for a band of my choice. 3 key elements were required to be used in this design: an image of an apple, a pipe, and a mustache. I think the idea of using the apple and the pipe was a good reference to use based on the work of René Magritte. I also used Salvador Dali as a reference from the pieces he created based on the dreamlike sequences. In conclusion, I believe that surrealism is a unique movement back at the prime of its time and still a unique movement used in modern day life. Not just in artwork itself, but in films, music, and building designs. This is still my favourite art movement. The reason why is because I love the different ways it takes compared to the other movements. Other movements' themes are based on real life occurrences, while surrealism takes a different approach and bases itself on the land of dreams and logic beyond the boundaries of reality. This is an ideal theme I could use in my artwork today and in the future. For more information based on this essay, click the link on the screen or in the description below, and thank you for listening.